All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trades. It's December 7th, 2022. Pretty sure, yes. December 7th, 2022. 2023 is upon us, guys. What a chop fest in the markets today. There's not really a whole lot to talk about. I do want to say, though, I feel personally very in tune with the markets right now, at least on a day-by-day basis. Obviously, I can't predict what's going to happen next week or what kind of news is going to come out or what the Fed is going to do as far as interest rate hikes go. I believe it's going to be higher, probably 75 basis points, if not more. India actually raised by 35 basis points, and I haven't seen that a whole lot. You know, like we got Canada in today as well. They raised by 50 basis points. It's usually an even 50 or 75 or even 25. I've seen, I think, Australia do 25 basis point increases, but a 35 basis point increase from India, that just kind of stood out to me. I haven't seen that yet. So is it possible they do like an 85 basis point or a 65 basis point rate hike? I don't know. But it was something I was thinking about. But yeah, a chop fest in the markets. I feel really in tune with the markets. I want to finish that thought because today I was catering, and I've been catering all week, but I've been trading as well. And today I was looking at the markets, I was looking at the news, I was just thinking about all the moves we had the last couple of days, and I decided just to stay out. I didn't even really watch the open. Of course, we were catering a funeral, so I was very busy with that. There was just a lot of stuff to tend to, but we did get some breaks, and I checked in on the market, and I was glad that I didn't get involved in that chop. Now, PayPal actually made a cute little move to the upside. It went from, I think, about 71 something, maybe 71.20 or something like that, and bumped up to $73 or $74. It looked like a fairly extreme move. I mean, it was, but it was in a demand zone. So I didn't catch that one. But if you look at the NASDAQ, if you look at the S&P 500, completely flat, right? Completely flat. And if I remember, I'll talk more about my, people have questions about my catering gig. So I'll talk about that towards the end. All right, let me get a sip of this Coke. I got a bunch of free food today too, spanakopita. My family loves spanakopita. It has cheese in it. I think it has cheese in it, but you know, every once in a while, when food is offered to you, the Bible tells us this too. Even when we're fasting, the Bible says, if somebody gives you food, accept it and eat it humbly with thankfulness because it comes from God. Receive it with thankfulness. So I just want to put that out there, guys. So yeah, the big news right now is the Bank of Canada delivers a 50 basis point rate hike. Pretty standard. I mean, I guess you could have found a way to trade that as well. The fact that the Bank of Canada did not go lower than 50 basis points, that also, to me, is kind of indicating that the Fed will probably raise by 75 basis points. U.S. stocks waiver. The other big news is in commodities with crude oil falling again for the fourth session. I mean, crude oil now, it touched $72 per barrel. That's like the 6-month low, I think. Might be like a year low. So I think it's the 6-month low. So we're going from 120 back in June, you know, at the height of the panic of the war maybe and stuff like that. And the summer demand, and then we're all the way down to $72. It's bouncing around in the low 70s now. You know, so is this a trend that the rest of the commodities are going to follow? Like even like silver and gold, they're still chopping around at these recent highs. You know, is there going to be a trend in 2023 for commodity prices to go lower? The reason this might happen is because you have articles talking about, you know, the dollar's strength. I found this one article here, you know, about the US dollar correction. We have corrected, but in 2023, a lot of these CEOs of the banks, like Jamie Dimon, and you know, I think some of the Fed officials have talked about this too, that 2023, I mean, their goal is to, they say they don't want to bring us into a recession. You know, they call it a soft landing, but yeah, that's exactly what they want. They want to slow everything down. And the forecasts from the big banks and from the Fed are not good. And they're not always accurate. You have to take that into consideration too. Like when I hear Jamie Dimon basically, it's all doom and gloom for 2023 and beyond. And he's talking about how bad he sees things kind of turning around for the worse. You got to take all this with a grain of salt because these people do lie to us, right? We know that. And they also have other agendas as well, right? They have other agendas. And they've been wrong before. I mean, remember inflation is transitory? How they told us that for like a year, and that's obviously not true. It's probably entrenched and the interest rates haven't gone high enough. That's my guess. There's another indicator for that, which is the wage growth. And the Fed is going to have to deal with the wage growth because that was another number that came out this week. You had factory orders, services, all of this stuff was expanding, even in Germany and some places in Europe. These numbers are not supposed to be looking as good as they are because it means that, we need more rate hikes and probably for longer. So terminal rate hike in America, 7% seems likely, right? And that's not even that high. You have other countries like Turkey and Russia. I think they're in like 12%, 11%, something like that. You see these other countries raising their rates a little bit slower, by 25 basis points or 50 basis points, but their economies are a little bit different. Like we really need to get this right, and the Fed needs to get it right so that we don't come back here, so that we don't have to come back here a year from now or 2 years from now. And if they want that average inflation rate, and the way Powell talks about this is he says a 2% over time, but what he means is the average 2%, over probably 5 years, 10 years. So they're going to keep the interest rates. They could keep the interest rates high for much longer than the market wants to anticipate. And that's why I think the Santa Claus rally is not really panning out yet because there's too much uncertainty. I'm not saying it's impossible that it won't. And maybe if the Fed comes in with a 50 basis point rate hike, maybe we'll rally for a couple weeks off of that or something. But I don't know. I think even 50 basis points, it's going to be shocking to the markets, and the markets are not going to like it, just in general. When I was talking just a few moments ago about how these asset managers and banks, they have other agendas. And a great example of this is BlackRock. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. The latest story today, this is breaking news, okay? A hedge fund sees BlackRock's embrace of ESG policies, and I'll explain what that is, as a distraction, and it wants the money management giant's CEO Larry Fink to step down. All right, absolutely incredible story. We have hedge fund managers, right? This is from Bluebell Capital Partners, a $250 million hedge fund with a history of taking on big companies, is demanding that BlackRock rethink its approach to ESG, but they also want Larry Fink to resign. And ESG is basically, it stands for environmental, social, and corporate governance. All right, I'm pretty sure that's, where was it here? ESG, yeah, environmental, social, and corporate governance. All right, it says that Bluebell hedge fund accused BlackRock of both hypocrisy and overstepping its bounds in a letter sent to the firm's board last month that was revealed by the Deal Book. Like, go to their Instagram and you'll understand what environmental, social, and corporate governance is. It's a bunch of Marxist propaganda. I'll just put it out there like that. Go to BlackRock's Instagram and it's just straight up New World Order, globalist, Marxist bullshit that they're just putting out there to look a certain way. They're basically virtue signaling on every single post. And it's disgusting, disgraceful, and embarrassing, in my opinion. Okay, but let's focus on the task at hand here. If you remember a couple of days ago, we talked about how Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida is trying to pull $2 billion out of BlackRock's fund. And then a few days before that, there was rumors of liquidity issues at BlackRock because so many people want to pull their funds out. And this is exactly why. They don't think, somebody like Larry Fink, who's focused on New World Order Marxism and corporate governance, over profits. This is why people are so upset. And yeah, these people are fake. A lot of these people too, I think Candace Owens was talking about this. I saw this on the Tucker Carlson show, and I don't like Candace Owens. I'm not a fan of Candace Owens. But Tucker Carlson interviewed her because she made some comments about the plastic surgery, not just in Hollywood, but like amongst a lot of the billionaire class. Like look at Jeff Bezos. I mean, he looks like a mannequin of his former self. And so Candace Owens is basically asking, like the Kardashians too, think about all the work they've had done. Is that maybe indicating a deeper fakeness that just sort of expresses itself through plastic surgery? And I think that's a really, really good question to ask. And speaking of Jeff Bezos and Amazon, I'm not hating on Jeff Bezos, okay? I'm just saying that, I hope that relaxes a little bit because he's going to scare the kids. I went to the Amazon building. It was yesterday actually, for my catering gig. We had to make 400 plates. 400 plates. Well, actually, we didn't plate it up. It was in trays, but we had to make a meal for 400 people. So we had it was kind of disgusting because I'm vegan. So we had to make basically 400 slices of turkey and ham. It was crazy. The butchery, God forgive me. But, the world's not vegan. What can I do? But yeah, the Amazon building is huge and they got this huge conveyor belt. Like I didn't even get to go inside. My boss did go inside and you have to basically leave your driver's license there. You have to take your belt off. I mean, it's crazy, the security at that building, but they're trying to protect their employees. But it was a huge building. They own all of the land around it. So it's probably going to become a huge Amazon complex. And a lot of these big tech companies are moving out to Virginia, not necessarily this area, but more North Virginia, closer to DC, which makes sense, right? Facebook has headquarters there now, Google. It makes sense that they would want to be so close to DC and maybe get out of the West Coast for a little while. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything. And then I want to, there are other news items that I could bring up here, like, trying to stay away from the political stuff, but we had in Georgia, what's his name? Wynack. I can't remember his name. Herschel Walker lost. All right. Trump's man lost. And Ron DeSantis even backed Herschel Walker in Georgia, like the night before the election, which I thought was kind of bizarre. So, Georgia went blue, for the Senate race, and the Democrats really think that, they're going to be able to force a lot of their policies through. Oh, the thing I wanted to mention, I thought this was kind of funny. I guess a bunch of Nicaraguans, people from Nicaragua, I think is how you say the country, like 20 or 30 of them were bussed into DC and dropped off at Kamala Harris's home. I didn't look too much deeper into the story. That was a Breitbart headline, but I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Let's see here. Going back to the markets, you had China as well posting very small trade surpluses, the smallest in 7 months. Is this a sign of the global economy slowing down? You're looking at the China numbers. Mortgage rate decline for the fourth week. The average contract interest rates for the 30-year fixed rate mortgages with conforming loan balances in the U.S. fell by 8 basis points. I think this is just the pullback on the mortgage, on these rates, okay? Same thing with like the inflation we talked about. Things seem to be cooling down. They seem to be maybe, some things seem to be pulling back, like the mortgage rates, but it could just be the pullback. It may not come back down here. We may have another leg to go because, these mortgage rates are affected by the Fed's rate. And these rate hikes, there's a lag. There's a very long lag sometimes, 3 months, 6 months. Like what the economy is experiencing now could still be, it's only being affected by the first few rate hikes. Maybe the last couple 75 basis point rate hikes have not actually really begun to hit the economy and affect it the way the Fed is hoping. And obviously not because things are not slowing down. We were actually doing better than expected, right? So much better than expected on some of these numbers. And the wage growth, this can't get too out of control because the Fed is going to have to slow that down as well. I think a lot of people, millions of people, perhaps, are going to either be forced out of the labor market or they're just going to leave and figure something else out. So if you're not trading, if you're not watching the markets, I want to encourage everybody to do that. I do not know what you are doing if you're not following the markets, if you're not reading the news from Trading Economics. You've got to make your own discernments with everything that you're reading. But in 2019, if you had told me that I would be able to make money from trading, stocks or options, and that I would be following the financial markets, I would have not believed it. In 2019, I was all about the conspiracy theories and the political news, right? And I guess I was having a spiritual awakening of some kind. But as I've continued to grow spiritually, for some reason, I'm just more attracted to the financial markets and that whole aspect of society, that whole aspect of reality, because it's something that you could actually use in a creative way to create surplus for yourself. So if you're not at least following the markets and thinking about trading, I really don't know what you're doing. I hope that I can encourage you to do that. That's why I'm making these videos. And take it slowly as well. Take it extremely slowly, because I didn't really do that. And I was down pretty bad for almost the entire year. I was down $3,500, and I just kind of gave it up for 6 months. And sometimes you have to do that. But just remember, even if you're down $100, $1,000, $3,500, if it's over the course of months or a year, it's not that big of a deal. You will get it back someday. So I hope that inspires everybody. Now, as far as my catering gig, I think I've talked about everything that really matters to me, everything I've been following. People keep asking me about my catering gig, and they want to know basically like how many times a week I do it. It's kind of, because we're in December and we're in that season, there are more gigs, like the Amazon gig. They were feeding 800 people over a couple of days, 2 different crews, and it was like a holiday meal, right? There's a lot of weddings sometimes, or bar mitzvahs, or other corporate events, stuff like that during the winter. So that's why we've been so busy. There's a lot of deliveries too. People are ordering, for the holidays and stuff. I've dropped off at a movie set a couple of times. There's a lot going on out here on the East Coast, so the catering business is always busy. So it's not like I work for them full time or anything. They do pay me very, very well. Extremely well, better than probably most jobs out there. So that is a blessing. But I want to put this disclaimer out there too. I know these people from my church, right? And I also have an ethnic relation to them, right? Because they're Greek. I'm Greek on my father's side, and I was baptized at that church. So I want to put that out there that had I not gone to that church, maybe I would have never met them. But if you want to get into catering, there's lots of catering companies out there. When I was working at a warehouse, people would come in all the time, and I met all kinds of people that had catering businesses. And you could probably just call all the caterers in your area and ask if they need help, ask if they need servers, ask if they need people to set up. It's a great gig. I really enjoy doing it because it's kind of flexible. The guy could call me and maybe I have something going on and I can't work that day. All right, no big deal. You just call somebody else, right? Or maybe he says, hey, we're booked for like 5 days. We got to do this, really big event for 5 days. And, do you want to work it? So maybe I'll pick something up like that. I might go 2 or 3 months and I don't do it. But I was working very hard at a warehouse for a while, and over a year. Right? It was actually one of the longest jobs I've ever held. And I'm just at a place now where it's like I really want to focus on my trading. I really want to focus on my spiritual life. Like tonight I'm going to choir. We have choir practice tonight. So I sing in a choir. I try to offer time and my financial resources, if I can, to especially the church, but also my family. I want to be able to provide a good life for my family and for the people around me, for my community that has given me so much. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I want to encourage everybody else this year, especially around this time of year, to think about how you can contribute to your family, your loved ones, your church, especially your church. If you have a church, give to it financially, even if it's not an Orthodox church, right? it could be maybe you're a Baptist, maybe you're some sort of Protestant. There's Episcopalians, there's Mormons, but give to your church. That's probably one of the best things you could do this year. And yeah, churches can waste money and have bad budgets and stuff like that, but that's why, if you think that's true, you get involved. Get involved in these communities. And in my opinion, that's the conservative thing to do. There are no political solutions to a lot of these problems that society faces. And, focusing on my finances and then God, well, focusing on God first and then my satanic finances, it's not a bad life. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If there's anything I didn't cover, anything I missed, please let me know, because I get so much information from you guys. And as always, until next time, follow me on Instagram @MillennialTrades. And as always, until next time, God bless.